I was in an American-style steakhouse here in Barbados a few weeks ago, trying to write, but being distracted instead by the TVs in every corner of the room, beaming out different cable channels, sports to the left of me, news to the right, and action movie front and center. One program particularly caught my eye, a piece on happiness by CNN. The news hook was the publication of a World Happiness Report in which countries were ranked by the happiness of their citizens. The puzzle for CNN was why the United States, despite its wealth, came in only 11th in the survey, with a happiness score similar to that of Costa Rica, and why, throughout decades of rising wealth in the US, happiness levels had remained essentially unchanged. Yet, instead of engaging with these issues, CNN invited on a happiness expert and put up these 3 keys to achieving happiness. Sleep, fake it, enjoy now. That's it, folks. Human happiness in 3 easy steps. Don't worry, America. Your misery has nothing to do with rising inequality, job insecurity, lack of health coverage, racial oppression, shrinking pensions, broken family structures, longer working hours, or the huge holes in the social safety net. It's not because your economic system puts you on a treadmill in which permanent dissatisfaction is the only logical outcome. Because if you were ever truly satisfied, you might stop consuming. No, don't worry, America. All you need is a good night's sleep, a bit of fakery, and to enjoy now. Of course, I know the reasons why CNN opted for gross simplification over serious engagement. I used to be a journalist myself, and I'm aware of the pressure of deadlines, the limited time, and the limited space. I also know that in news, particularly in TV news, there's a lot of pressure to provide viewers with a clear, actionable takeaway. In other words, don't just leave people confused by bad news. Give them something easy they can do right now to improve things. You'll hear the same advice if you read any tips on blogging or writing for magazines. Always provide a takeaway. It's a nice idea, and sometimes it works. If you're writing about something simple, it's great to give readers a takeaway. Frustrated by filling out your taxes? Here are 3 things you can do to simplify the process. Fine. But I'd argue that some subjects demand a different approach. Some subjects are simply more complicated than spring rolls and egg fried rice, and they can't just be packed up neatly into a styrofoam boxes for you to take away and consume at your convenience. To me, human happiness is such a subject because it resists being made into a takeaway. It needs more careful treatment. I should point out that I have no quarrel with CNN's guest, Gretchen Rubin, author of the Happiness Project. I haven't read her book, so it would be unfair to judge it, and I know her arguments were probably greatly simplified. I've read quite a few self-help and personal development books in my life, and got a lot from them. There are definitely some things that you can do to make yourself happier and improve your life. But there are also some things that need to be looked at on a larger scale, on a societal level. And that's the main problem I had with the CNN segment. It tries to provide individual solutions for social problems. This is something I notice all the time, particularly in the US, but also elsewhere. An individualistic approach being considered more important than the social. My personal theory is that the failure of so many of the grand social engineering experiments of the 20th century has made us inherently distrustful of anything too big. We've retreated into our shells, concerning ourselves only with self-improvement, not wanting to get involved with anything that even suggests ideology. This is why the world is heading for catastrophic climate change, and all we're doing in response is religiously sorting out garbage into different colored boxes. It's understandable, of course. We've grown up in the shadow of the 20th century and the millions who died at the hands of ideology-obsessed regimes. Yet, big ideas are just what we now need if we want to deal successfully with a highly complex, globalized world. Individualism isn't enough anymore. We're all interconnected now. We need big ideas again, grand social schemes, transnational agreements to safeguard the environment, to secure basic standards of living for everyone, to share resources more fairly, to make us happier. We're like the proverbial generals, who always base their strategies on previous wars. The tragedy of the 20th century was the big ideas killed millions of people. The tragedy of the 21st may be that the lack of big ideas kill millions of people. The World Happiness Report, if you read it, has plenty of suggestions for policy changes. The authors suggest moving away from the emphasis on GDP as measure of social success, and towards a broader set of goals incorporating happiness, health, family, relationships, community, and governance, quality of work, and the like. To me, this is a long overdue. GDP is a measure of output, an adding up of all economic activity, all exchange of goods and services. But not all exchange is good or useful. If I crash my car on the motorway and sustain life-threatening injuries, it's good for the economy. My purchase of a new car, hospital services, crutches, etc. all adds to GDP. But does it make anyone happy? There are plenty of other things that add to GDP, but don't make anyone happy. Think of the arms industry, which accounts for an estimated $1.7 trillion of spending every year. Is that a good thing? And besides, aren't we already producing and consuming too much? According to the UK government, if everyone in the world lived like people in the UK, it would take about 3 planets worth of resources to support us. Don't we need to start defining success a little differently? My point in this post is that sometimes a topic is too big to be given the take